In episode 42, Bryan Blanton hops on the podcast. He's made the most appearances in franchise history, so hear about the hometown hurler. Our guest today is from Albemarle, North Carolina, attended Catawba College, drafted by the New York Yankees in 2017, and currently a relief pitcher for the Gastonia Ghost Peppers. I know a guy, and his name is Bryan Blanton. Bryan, how's it going?
Good, Noah. How's it going with you?
Doing well, Bryan. Thanks for coming on. You're from Albemarle, North Carolina. Baseball in the state is no joke, right?
No.
So what was
Yeah,
your
correct.
experience growing up in Carolina playing ball?
Growing up, I'm from a small town, so growing up in the Carolinas, I didn't really I played all three sports through high school. It wasn't just like a bit one, everybody picked one sport. It was, I went to a small high school, small middle school, so I played multiple sports growing up all throughout it. Got to venture out a little bit as I got into high school, played a little bit of showcase and stuff like that. Played against a couple bigger name guys that were first rounders, but all in all, it was just local kids I played growing up pretty much every weekend. Especially when it got to high school and Legion ball, I was playing against the same kids every week, every year. And then got to college and small North Carolina college, and it was the same thing. I was playing with the guys that I played against.
You've been in Carolina essentially your whole life. Obviously, you're playing for Gastonia right now, and you moved to Charlotte last year. Is that correct?
Yeah, I moved last January after the 2023 season with Gastonia.
How's it been living in Charlotte?
I enjoy it. It's the first time I've lived in a big city. I've always had little times here and there, whether it was in Tampa or when I was in Staten Island around New York or this and that, but it's the first time I've actually lived in a bigger city. So I've enjoyed it. I like it a lot.
How often do you go to South End? I think South End is so much fun.
I go a good amount. If I go out to, have a drink with the friends or anything like that, most of the time when I go get dinner, I'm in South End area. There's just a lot of good restaurants and stuff down there.
So, Bryan, drafted by the Yankees in 2017. How was that entire experience for you getting drafted by New York?
So when I was growing up, I didn't really have a team, but I loved Mario Rivera, especially as I became a closer in college. That was kind of like who I was like looking at and seeing how he pitched and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, when it actually happened, when my name was selected by the Yankees, I was kind of shocked to be honest, because it was not the usual draft process. I was watching the draft fall and waiting to see if one of my college teammates was being picked up, and my name came across the board with no phone call or anything else. I was actually playing summer ball out in Asheboro in the Coastal Plains League. But it was a dream come true. I'd always wanted, not always, but once I had picked baseball to kind of pursue my junior year in high school, the ultimate goal was to be playing professional, and it was a dream come true.
So, you admired Mariano growing up. You get drafted by the Yankees. You were with
Yeah,
the Yankees system 2017 through 22. And if I'm not mistaken, you still root for the Yankees to this day, right?
I do. Yeah. So like I said, I didn't really have a team before, and when I got drafted in 17, I started to follow the Yankees a little more, and then now having a couple friends on the team makes it pretty easy to root for them.
You pitched for the Staten Island Yankees in 2019. That's, of
Yeah.
course, the same stadium, SIUH Community Park, where the Staten Island Ferry Hawks play right now in the Atlantic League. Is that the best backdrop in baseball?
It's the best backdrop I've ever got to witness. I can't say anything. Everybody wants to say PNC Park or in Pittsburgh's nice, but I've never been there. Staten Island's by far the best backdrop I've ever got to witness of a baseball field.
New York City skyline, Statue of Liberty chilling in left center
Yeah.
field. I've never been to PNC. I've seen the pictures. It looks
Yeah.
beautiful. But I can't imagine a better backdrop myself.
Yeah, for sure.
Bryan, we have a segment on the podcast called Cool Connections. Of course, you were with the Yankee system for a while, now pitching for Gastonia. You've pitched overseas as well. Is there anybody, whether it's a household name or someone who's helped you in your journey, a cool connection of yours?
Oh man. Unfortunately, not a household name, but I think one of the best friends I've created would be Zach Moore from 2023. Still in contact with him daily, not daily, but multiple times a week. I'm in contact with him. We were throwing partners in 2023 here in Gastonia. When I went down to Mexico, we were throwing partners again. I was at his wedding last November, so it's just a guy that I've made a really strong connection with through baseball over the last 2 years.
South Division Championship Series MVP in
Yeah.
2023 with
I think
Gastonia.
Atlantic League co-pitcher of the year as well in 2023.
He
So
he had fantastic numbers that season.
he
Big
did.
reason why the only Atlantic League Championship Series appearance in franchise history was 23, and I think Mort was a big reason why. Also, a great guy.
It was. Definitely was.
You've been with Gastonia since 23. You've also pitched elsewhere, whether it's Venezuela, Mexico, like you just mentioned, Australia, but you continue coming back to pitch for Gastonia. Why is that?
I think there's a few reasons. One being I live in Charlotte, so it's very easy and convenient for me. Two is the atmosphere that Goose and Chuck and Brady create here. It's very free, very individual, but it's still a winning atmosphere. We had our struggles to start the season this year, but now we're finally getting back to where we've been. People are starting to get healthy again, we're starting to win again. So it's just the atmosphere that they create. And then three, it's just having the guys that Brady brings in every year. It's there's always new guys, but it's always like a family in there.
You've made 115 appearances with
Mhm.
Gastonia in the organization, by far the most in franchise history. What kind of pride do you take in the fact that you've been the guy to get handed the ball more often than anybody else in the 5 years of this franchise?
Yeah, I mean, I take pride in being able to pitch pretty much every day. I know my first year here, I threw a lot, was called on a lot, and I like being able to do that. When I was in college, I was a setup man my freshman year, closer my sophomore and junior year. I took pride in, coming in, getting 3 outs, and being available to go the next day. Sometimes 4 outs, sometimes 5 and 6, as I've done this year. But yeah, I definitely am proud to be appearance leader, I guess, for Gastonia, but. Um, yeah, we got some more outs to get, hopefully.
On the note of history, when it comes to this organization, you've recorded 161 strikeouts, six shy of becoming the all-time strikeouts leader for Gastonia. So, what kind of pride do you take in striking out hitters with this system?
Yeah, I mean, I guess as a relief pitcher, you really don't ever consider yourself going for that kind of number because you usually don't have the innings that the starters have. But I guess that also shows to just the talent that Brady brings in. Guys don't stick around for too long. I mean, I've had my times elsewhere, but I keep coming back, kind of like Reinheimer, but that shows to the talent that Brady brings in. The guys get in, get their numbers in, and then get out of here kind of quick, which is what I want to be around when I'm playing.
Now you have three pitches, four-seamer, curveball, and slider. How do you really game plan? Is it a certain plan you have going into each at bat? Does it depend on the hitter, righty versus lefty? Well, what is the usual game plan when it comes to using those three pitches?
Yeah, so I started the season with the 3 pitches, and then Tony has kind of worked with me, and we've kind of dialed it down to two, fastball, slider mostly. So for me, it's all about location of the fastball, whether I want to work in and out, up or down. And then it's just throwing the slider as hard as I can, hoping the hitter's like off of it, thinking fastball's coming because I throw majority fastballs. So the game plan is to get ahead and then usually try to get them out with the slider. Occasionally mix it up with the slider first pitch, then get back ahead and get them out with the slider. But that's mostly the game plan. Is get ahead with the heater, put away with the slider.
What went into that decision? You said you talked with Tony. What went into the decision to eliminate the curveball?
When I came into spring training, I wasn't exactly crisp as I should have been. And he thought that focusing on 2 pitches, especially being a 1 to 2 inning guy, focusing on 2 pitches could really help me take the next step in my career of making my 2 pitches above average rather than having like a good fastball and then like two average off speeds. He thought that I could have two above average pitches and it would just play well for me.
Now, as a relief pitcher, of course, you don't have the same routine a starter has. You don't necessarily know when you're going to be thrown in a game, when you're going to have to warm up quickly and enter a contest. Does that make it tougher on you? Because a lot of people come on the podcast and say they prefer being a starting pitcher because they know they're going to pitch once a week, once every 5 games. So does that make it tougher on someone like you?
Uh, yes and no. I feel like it's tougher for relievers a lot of times because you never know when, so you have to kind of almost mentally be locked in every game. You have to know when to throw pregame a lot, when to not throw a lot. You just kind of have to get a feel for it. For me personally, I feel like I've done this long enough where I haven't started a game since I was in high school, so 2014, so it's been almost 11 years now. So for me personally, I'm used to relieving. I'm kind of used to just being able to go an inning today inning tomorrow, a couple innings, here and there. I have a little routine that I like doing in game and pre-game that kind of works for me. But I definitely think it's harder than starting because starting you can get on your routines, you can get your lifts in, you can get your long toss in, your bullpens in, and work on some stuff. Whereas in the bullpen, I mean, I have to work on stuff in game most of the time, if not in my bullpen going into the game. So it's a little bit harder.
Now, Brian, speaking of this season with the Ghost Peppers, fantastic numbers in June. A 2.13 ERA, 20 strikeouts in over 12 innings. Opponents hit just 186 off you. So what went right for you this past month?
I think I for a little bit found a little bit of control. I think I've found my slider over the last month and a half. It's gotten a little bit bigger, keeping the same speed. Um, and I think getting ahead, like just trying to get ahead of hitters and then strike them out with the slider. Luckily, I'm getting the strikeouts that I've been wanting. Haven't always been able to do that in this league, but this year I'm definitely getting strikeouts. If I can just cut down on the walks, I think the numbers could be a little bit better.
Now, speaking of numbers being better, numbers are better on the road than at home for you. 7.2 ERA at home, 2.25 on the road. Is that really because of the left field wall being just 3.04 in down the line?
Uh, I think that and I had my first two games of the season weren't exactly like I said, I didn't come into the season as crisp as I wanted to be, and I had the first two games I threw were at home, so that kind of inflated them a little bit, and then pop up here, pop up there that have gone out and left. So yeah, I think if you take away, I think it's been 3 or 4 games at home where I've really given up some runs. If you take away those, my numbers are probably pretty comparative to the road. It's just the unluckiness of 3 or 4 games at home that didn't go my way.
Unluckiness of 3 or 4 games at home, of course, didn't go your way, but also you got to factor in that left field wall.
Yeah.
People talk about it. It's a thing. It's kind of like the Green Monster, Yankee Stadium, short porch and right, where it's like it's a
Yeah.
fact. It's a character every time you play there. Is it a tougher sell for Gastonia to acquire pitchers because of that? And I might be talking to the wrong person. You've literally made more appearances than anyone else. But do you think it's in general it's a tougher sell for pitchers to come here?
I don't know if it's a tougher sell. I know like some pitchers, I mean, obviously when everybody gets to the field, they obviously don't like it very much. But as a pitcher, you want to pitch to strengths of the field and strengths of yourself most of the time. So as a pitcher, you usually just gotta come in and honestly throw into righties and jam them, or throw like into lefties and jam them. Because the biggest where I've gotten hurt the most here is up and away to lefties, and then they just smack it the other way, and that 300 fence comes into play a lot of times. But I don't think it's that big of a. I think the bigger sell is the culture that they've created here, and Brady's created, and the amount of guys that get picked up every year here.
Now, you came on the preseason podcast episode and you said the best piece of advice you've ever gotten was throw the ball down the middle. You said you got that with Hudson Valley in 2022. Do you continue to think about that almost like every single one of your appearances? Do you continue to think about that and whether you're using your fastball, whether you're using your slider, one of your two pitches? Do you continue to instill that in your brain?
Yeah, especially when days aren't going as well as I want them to, that's my main cue is throw the ball down the middle. Some days I have the ability to try to go in, out, up and down. I'm just feeling good. The ball's coming out of the hand good, but some days it's just not like that. And so I just have to tell myself, throw it down the middle, let the ball move where it wants to do, and let the guys get themselves out. Because even the best hitters, they get out 7 out of 10 times. So if I just can get it over the plate, they're going to get themselves out more times than not.
Now, Brian, you told me about this last year in 2024. You were on the jump roping team for 6 years, elementary school and middle school. So I know last year in April of 24, you said you hadn't jump roped in a while. Is it still the case? Have you jump roped anytime recently to show your teammates?
It still is the case. I have not jump roped in a while. I need to actually get back into it a little bit, give myself a rope that I can do it, but I haven't. It's probably been. I know I jump roped a lot in 2022 or 2020 during COVID, but it's probably since about around then since I've really consistently jumped.
That could be a good social media video.
It could
In,
be.
in the locker room, you jump roping, passing along to a teammate. It could be a thing.
Yeah.
Brian, if you could make one rule change in baseball, you might have some pitcher bias, but if you could make one
Uh,
rule change, what would it be?
One rule change as of right now. Um, I think the one I would do right now that I've ran into a few times would be no step offs for a pitcher when nobody's on base. I think it's fair if we got one because a hitter gets a timeout when nobody's on base. So I think a pitcher should be able to get one step off, and I think I've ran into that quite a bit where it's a 3-2 count. You get on the rubber, it's already at like 8 or 9 seconds, and you're trying to get the pitch you want. Now it's easier for me this year since I only have two, but back when I threw 3 or 4 pitches, try to get the pitch you want, and next thing you know, you're at 2 seconds, so you have to rush. You're not fully convicted. I think that one step off with nobody on would be a big rule change.
As a pitcher, what are your thoughts on the pitch clock? Obviously, it's been implemented for a few years now, so it's not like it's
Mhm.
brand new this year, but what are your general thoughts? Have you gotten used to it?
Yeah, so I've always been kind of a quick pitcher. I've always been one to throw the pitch, get back. I'm on the rubber when I catch the ball most of the time. The only time I really find any kind of problems with it is when it's super hot and I'm sweating and I try to grab rosin and stuff like that. But most of the time, the umpires are pretty good about realizing the situation and delaying the start of the pitch clock. I personally like it because I like working fast. I like getting in and out of there as fast as I can and being done with my inning or 2 innings or whatever it is. So I don't have a problem with it. And it keeps the game shortened, which means I'm not sitting out in the bullpen for an extra hour or two.
Brian, what is the goal for you this 2025 season?
So I think basically the second half because we have a week left. I think the second half of the season, my goal would be to continue making up my numbers better, get the walks to stay where they're at. Can't really move them down, but get them to stay where they're at. Keep punching guys out, keep getting guys out, keep throwing up zeros, and then hopefully I'd like to clinch the championship this year with the guys. 2023, we were one game away, so I'd like to get it done this year.
You've won 9 of your past 11, 4 straight wins. How are the vibes in the clubhouse? Obviously, not the start you wanted. We've talked to
Yeah.
Goose about that, Brady about that. Not the start the team wanted, not the start the fans wanted, but you're starting to get going a little bit. Do you feel it in the locker room?
Yeah, I mean, you can definitely feel it. Like the guys are having a good time. We're playing a little looser. We're playing better baseball as a whole, hitting, pitching, fielding, everything's going a little bit better. It's back to the 23-24 vibes. Both those teams had really good halves, both halves really. It's back to those kind of vibes where everybody's playing loose good and we're just playing good baseball and winning games.
Well, Brian, best of luck. The second half of the season starts July 8th. Best of luck for you. You've obviously had a great month of
Yeah.
June. Hopefully, things carry over in July and beyond. And thanks so much for coming on the podcast.
Thank you, Noah.